Welcome to another episode of The Imagination, everybody. I am back again with last week's guest, Brooke Federline, who blew us away. I had so many views, so many amazing comments, so many great outreach and questions for Brooke that we didn't answer, didn't go deep enough for people. And with Brooke's blessing, she agreed to come on and do some shorter, more focused episodes, answering some big questions that you have, that I have, that we have, so we can have a better understanding of the really big picture that she talks about as a big picture, and then how all the details connect. So, Brooke, thank you so much for being here today. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to get to connect with you again, and I really appreciate you taking time to do these smaller episodes. I think what you have to offer is really needed with what people need to understand with what's happening and how it relates to today and just the history. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the New World Order and the structure of it. I think a lot of people take little bits and pieces, and because it's really hard to piece it all together because we're not given that information in society or in the media or from our government, it's hard sometimes to comprehend how it can be true. And it's easy to see why all the overwhelming pieces of information make people think that this is some big conspiracy theory because they're not able to connect the dots. So we're going to paint the bigger picture for you today, and we're going to actually talk about the New World Order and how it's structured. And with Brooke's blessing again, I took a few photos off of a YouTube video that she did where she actually broke some of this down and dove even deeper into it. So I'm going to be referencing those photos for you guys and bringing them up on the screen. So we'll talk about it. So if you're listening on audio only, you're going to get to hear Brooke talk about it. And if you're watching it, or if you get a chance to watch it and you're more of a visual person, I would encourage you to head to our YouTube channel if you're not already there and check in with the photos that we're going to be posting. That way you guys can follow along and you can see exactly what she's talking about and reference it for yourself and take some notes if needed. And I encourage you guys anyways to take notes. A lot of information today is going to blow you away. I know for me it did, and I've learned so much from Brooke. So I'm really excited for her to explain some of this today. So Brooke, without further ado, I would love for you to just explain the New World Order, the end times, and just break this down for people so it's a little bit more palatable for them.
Okay, that's a huge subject, so try and keep me on track. Okay, so the New World Order is basically a group of people who worship the fallen ones, Lucifer first and foremost, and they're Luciferians and Satanists. Not all of the Satanists have the same plans as the Luciferians, so I need to say that. Lucifer wants everyone in the world to worship him and follow him. So that is what they aim to do, and they've been planning to do this for thousands of years.
Now, real quick, what's the difference between satanic and Luciferian? I think a lot of people use them interchangeably, and you've mentioned that they're not the same.
No, they're definitely not the same. Okay, so Luciferians worship Lucifer, the angel of light, the esoteric knowledge and understanding that he has and has taught for a long time. So they have rituals, and that they're not as horrific, I guess, as satanic ones. They're not blood, sex, magic, fire, sacrifice like in the middle of the forest. That's a satanic ritual. A Luciferian ritual is more in the Masonic lodge or in the basement of a church kind of thing, and the men are all dressed up in their Masonic ritual or Masonic garments, the aprons and the cloths and the belts and the types of medals that they have on, and the collar and things like that. And they do weird things with their clothes, like when they go through a ritual in the early stages, they have to have one leg, pant leg up, and they get blindfolded or put a hood over them, and they have to wear a cable toe, which is a noose around their neck, and things like that. That's more enacting out certain things, whereas the satanic side of things is like, you know, mostly fire, um, orgies, magic sort of thing going on, forest. They do them obviously in basements as well, and houses and all sorts of things. But it's just the way they worship that's
Gotcha.
quite different.
Okay.
Yeah. So Lucifer is the one that wants all the worship, and he wants everyone to follow him. So basically, over the years, they've created all these constructs and structures and systems throughout society, which we call the beast system. And it is what enslaves us today. And that is why God is waking us up so we can break free from it. They created governments and councils and banks and all of that to control us through this beast system. What else? So they've planned over the years to deceive people, and that's the great deception, which many people are deceived in more ways than one, and even many people who are awake are actually still deceived in some ways because they don't see the whole picture, or they don't know of the different programs and deceptions that are out there. So they infiltrated the church for one. So they infiltrated religion and spirituality, I guess, creating false religions and spiritual ideas and ideologies, which many people follow, taking away from God and his son, Yeshua, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So that's one of the big deceptions. And then psychology is also another mass deception. Psychology was created by the occult to take away from real issues, which are basically based in spiritual history and or what has happened to you. So they created diagnoses such as schizophrenia and bipolar for those people who hear in the spirit realm and see in the spirit realm. If that makes sense. Most people think that they're crazy or insane, but in fact they're actually seers and hearing, in the spirit. They're not crazy. They just need to be directed. And
I saw this on a podcast where somebody, a psychologist, was talking about this and asked a question of, why do you think everybody that's psychotic has these really demonic thoughts, whether it's killing themselves, suicidal type thoughts, whether it's beating themselves up through just negative words towards themselves. And I was like, that's really interesting. That's weird that every person, it's never, you're on the opposite end where all of a sudden you're talking these really great things about yourself and you're super happy, and it's almost the opposite. It's always really dark thoughts that people have. So that's something that I really have been looking into a little bit more and just being aware of. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think if people really consider it, it's not something that seems so out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where do you think they get these movie ideas from? From people who see and hear in the spirit realm, for one, and also the different projects. But yeah, like, people aren't psychotic, and these things aren't happening within themselves. I mean, yes, it is happening in your mind. You can, people get the thoughts, people hear things, and it is happening to you, but it's really all in the spiritual realm. That's what people need to understand to be able to help others as well, help others break free from it. Like, when I was waking up, I just really thought I was insane because I was having visions and dreams, and I didn't know that that's how the Holy Spirit operated in showing us things, and everywhere I went, the people would say the same scriptures and give me the exact same message, and I thought demons were following me, telling me these things. I didn't understand that the spirit realm, you can hear from both sides, and that it's going to be the same message because it's the Holy Spirit. And it was good messages, it wasn't evil or bad. So yeah, many people hear and see in the spirit, and that is why I guess others think that they're crazy. So that's why psychology was infiltrated, to make people think they're crazy and not get them the true help that they really need. They're also going to use the medical field in this beast system to keep us enslaved and keep us sick, because it makes them money, billions of dollars a year. What else? Military is part of the beast system. There is a section of the military which was started by Michael Aquino, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and he started the Satanic Temple in the military base. That is where they started to do, I guess, testing and training in the parapsychological warfare. That movie Men Who Stare at Goats is kind of an example of parapsychological warfare. They militarized mind control through the military, and there's a lot of sleeper soldiers who are under mind control, who are trained and programmed for the end times to bring forth chaos and bring forth the New World Order. Yeah, what else can I go into? Does that explain some of that?
Absolutely. Yes, it does. I think that that's really the top of that pyramid, how you show in your photo, and you guys can see the photo, right?
And yeah, so
Okay, yeah. I think that that's really, for people to just understand that that exists and that that's not something new, that there's actually people, a lot of people that have these beliefs and have these
ideologies.
yeah, I don't want to say religions, right? It's not a religion, but yeah, these ideologies that they hold near and dear to their hearts just as much as we do ours. And that to them, this isn't weird. It's not something to them that they look at as being bad any more than what we look at as being bad. It's just, this is normal to them if you're born into this.
Yeah, yeah, that's what definitely. I thought that this was normal. Yeah, that's because you think everybody's going through the same thing. Like, I thought everybody knew this stuff, and that everybody was involved, and that they knew, which was definitely not the case. And it is their ideologies and their beliefs and what they want to happen, and they do think it's normal because they've been in it a long time and trained in it and brainwashed to believe it's normal. So a lot of the elites, people call elites, are bloodline families, very rich families that have been doing this generationally for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. There are families behind the Illuminati bloodlines. We only see the puppets, not the puppet masters. Many people believe that Obama was the Antichrist, or that Hillary is, I don't know, some people say the Antichrist. They are Antichrist, they have Antichrist spirits, but the public have not seen the people who are behind it all. They are well hidden. All we see are the puppets, not the puppet masters. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but these Illuminati bloodlines, this is kind of a weird example, but I have a dog, and I know whenever I was looking into dogs, pure bloodlines are valued so much more than mutts, let's say, that have bred with different breeds and are no longer really one thing. They might have 10 different breeds in one. Is that similar to the Illuminati bloodlines, to where it's a very pure bloodline that hasn't been broken generationally, or it's been made with a hybrid with maybe another Illuminati bloodline?
Yeah, so what they do is they mix through the bloodlines. So the 13 families, they don't go outside of that. If they, you know, well, they don't want you to go outside of that. So they pair up people with others from the bloodlines and breed. So I didn't realize that. When I remembered that my rank number was 116, I wondered how and why that meant that. My name added up to 6. So I wondered where the 1 came from, and I know that 11 is an Illuminati number. So I knew that it had to do something with the maybe other side of my family. And I realized after quite some time that each side of my family was involved. My mum was adopted, so she was adopted from one Illuminati line into another, and that is how they hid us, I guess, through the bloodlines. And if you read the Merovingian prophecies or the Merovingian dynasty stuff, it'll say about hiding the bloodlines, and this is how they did it. And so yeah, they adopt through. So each line of mine was all Illuminati, so adopted and original.
And really, that's what they're looking for. Those bloodlines to them are so much more valuable than people who don't have those bloodlines and who are mixed with different nationalities and things like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they will pair you up. So you have children that are pure blood, or Illuminati bloodlines, I guess, generationally. And if you go outside of that, they they don't disown everyone, but they won't use those children for MK Ultra purposes. They're more likely to sacrifice them.
Gosh.
Yeah, and a lot of people say, oh, how can you be alive? These people who talk about this stuff are dead, or it's like are mostly killed, and it's like, please, come on, wake up. How do you think Satan's going to have an army? How do you? He just doesn't one day instantly have an army just like that. They've been doing this for thousands of years, like training and practicing in occult stuff and arts and magic and all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, Satan they don't just kill off every child that they use. That's just ridiculous and nonsensical to think that. Like, yeah.
And you've been
But,
penalized for speaking up. You've had really horrible things happen to you for telling your story. So people can go learn about that. You've talked about that on your YouTube channel and a little bit on our last episode, but it's not like you can just go in society and blurt everything out and they're just okay with it. You're under heavy watch all the time, and people need to understand that too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When I first woke up, I didn't really realize how deep that I was in it, and that I was really sharing their secrets. I knew that I was sharing stuff, but I didn't know that it was like supposed to be kept secret. And I didn't know how deep like my programming went, or my bloodline, and why they wanted to keep me alive. So yeah, they came and took me, drugged me and assaulted me and told me off for telling the secrets and stuff like that. And that's when I really realized that, oh, this stuff's real. Like, I'm not going crazy. This stuff is actually happening.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like to figure that out. It's hard for me to even comprehend it, much less experience it. So, man, I commend you for your bravery and just being able to to have these conversations and talk about it. I know if I were to experience something like that, it would probably break me, and it would have a much different effect on how I handled it than you.
Yeah,
Your strength is beyond anything I can comprehend.
I think that's the spirit, the spirit within us is we were sent here to do these or go through these things to warn others for this time. That was a message that because a lot of people are like, oh, God didn't want this for your life, God didn't want that, and it's like whatever. And so he knew exactly what I was going to go through. So people can't use that like as a kind of a way to explain away what's happened. I was like, he's actually setting people free, and he's going to set millions of people free, and we had to go through this so that we could warn others. And I get that, even as crappy as it is, and it was hard to accept at the beginning. I understand it a lot more now, and that is why I guess they weren't able to break my spirit. And and I realized that God was always there. He was always there. I just didn't know it.
You're meant to do big things, that's for sure. I know personally I've learned so much more from you than I really have piecing together pieces that other people taught. And like I said, even just going through this structure, it really brings together a lot of the small pieces that we hear here and there.
Mm.
And so we have those Illuminati bloodlines. And then could you touch on the Committee of 300? I know that the tiers below it explain a little bit more about what some of those societies and families are. But could you touch on that part too?
Yep. And you can find this pyramid online. That's where I found it, but I drew up a whole bunch of boards so that I was able to go through with a prayer group at the time, and then afterwards I made these videos. So I used the boards that I'd done. So these pyramids can be found online as well if people look into it. But the Committee of 300 is families, subfamilies of the 13 bloodlines, so extended families, and that. And it says that they're the world's most richest, powerful subfamilies, secret societies, and cults. So a lot of the Committee of 300 will be in the Masonic lodges and different orders and secret societies that are pushing forth with the New World Order. And a lot of them are fronts for what's going on behind the scenes. So a lot of people that join the Freemasons and things like that don't actually understand what they are involved in. And the cults, I guess when people say cult, it's more based on ideologies, I guess, but the satanic cults are more at this level, and the secret societies and groups are like the Skull and Bones group, which I'm pretty sure all or most of the presidents were in the Skull and Bones. And then you've got the Buffalo Lodge, the Orange Lodge, the Shriners. All of these groups and secret societies have people in them who are in the top tiers, if that makes sense. And then a lot of people are involved that don't know what's really going on, but it's so easy to research these days. But they are a front, and they are used to keep up appearances, I guess, so to speak, for the people behind the scenes. And because the good people in these groups don't know what's going on behind the scenes, they stand up for their brothers, and it's part of the oaths and decrees that they make anyway, is that they're not to tell on their brother. They're not to go against their brother. So yeah, a lot of that's fronts for the top tiers. And then these groups here, yeah, the United Nations, Bilderberg, Club of Rome, the Round Table. Oh, there's the Skull and Bones group. Yeah, so all of these groups were basically started by the cult families, the bloodline families, so that they could assert their control and domination around the world a lot easier. Because, yeah, if you were to understand that there was a satanic cult running your government, you wouldn't really let them, would you? You would stand up a lot quicker than, having the United Nations running your country, or your government, or telling your government what to do. So they created these groups, the CIA, and they created them to keep an eye on us all. Yeah, so if you have a look at a lot of groups or businesses, massive money-making machines, the big corporate giant companies, you'll find that a lot of them that are either CEOs or business managers are also involved together and linked and connected with other businesses, because to be in the Illuminati, you have to own a business. That's how they money launder. So all of these businesses are connected to each other. You will find that many people from the United Nations are also connected, and then politicians. So a lot of these politicians and United Nations people own businesses, fast food joints, things like that, so that they can launder the money that they are gaining illegally. Lots of people in the awakening have been gathering information and researching, and they found many connections between different occult family links and different politicians, and then the businesses that they run together. So it's been very interesting, all these links that people have been finding. Like apparently Nancy Pelosi, she ran or owns Goat's Pizza or something like that, and pizza is a big thing in trafficking. That's a code for the child trafficking. So that's the kind of links I'm talking about. Also, they own places like data collection companies. I know of one, and when I researched that one, I felt to cross-check the board members of the data collection company with United Nations members, and over half of the people in the data collection board were also UN members.
Wow.
So why, you've got to ask, why the hell are a bunch of UN members running data collection companies? It's pretty freaky, because part of it, they want to gather everybody who is awake on lists as to who opposes them. So I guess that's why they own these data collection companies. And that's why so many of us have issues with our phones. Those of us who tell the truth and who are sharing and exposing in this awakening have so much issues with our phones, because not only is like Twitter and Facebook infiltrated from the top, the data collection companies are behind our backs, I guess, filtering what we have going through our phones and then linking us up and, I don't know, putting us on lists. It's a massive spider web, basically.
It really is. And I think like just understanding that this dates back so long ago, and this has been generation after generation slowly infiltrating different industries, different companies, different avenues, different countries, This has been something that they've been working on for a long time, where I think a lot of people that start learning about this, they think it's just very recent that this happened in the last couple of years, and how did all these people end up getting in all these companies? But one thing I'd love to talk to you about on another episode, but something that's really interesting is if you look at a lot of these companies